Have you ever stopped to ask yourself what your customers are really buying? That question hit me in a surprising way this past week while my son Jed has been away at Air Force basic training. Let me tell you what happened, and I'm going to hopefully uncover for you a marketing principle that's going to change the way you think about talking about your products. Let's get started.
Hey there, this is Corinna Bench, and welcome to the My Digital Farmer podcast. In today's market, it's not enough to just grow your product. You've got to know how to sell it too. Welcome to the My Digital Farmer podcast, where we reveal online marketing strategies and tips to help farmers like you get better and more confident at marketing. Learn how to find more customers, increase your sales, and build a strong brand for your farm.
Let's start the show. Well, welcome to episode 375 of the My Digital Farmer podcast. I'm your host, Corinna Bench, one of the farmers at Shared Legacy Farms out in Elmore, Ohio. I am also the founder of MyDigitalFarmer.com, which is all about trying to help other farmers like you get more confident in your marketing and sales strategies so that you can grow a profitable business. How are you today? Big shout out to all of my regular listeners. Welcome back. If you're new to the show, I'm glad you're here. Make sure you subscribe to the pod and go check out some of my early episodes. I always tell people to start at the beginning and listen to the first 10, especially if you don't know a lot about marketing, because I designed them intentionally for people who are new to learn the ropes and fundamentals of marketing. And then you can kind of dive in to all the archives that come after that. You can also get on my email list if you're looking for an on-ramp into the marketing lingo. I'm going to teach you a ton of stuff for free. Just go and subscribe at mydigitalfarmer.com/subscribe. You'll get an email from me every week for the first 3 months that basically walks you through the most important stuff you need to know. Plus, you'll be getting the email about the podcast that drops every week. It's just a great way to slowly learn the ropes of marketing. Again, you can get that by going to mydigitalfarmer.com/subscribe. It's totally free. Today's podcast is sponsored by my friends at Local Line. If you run a CSA, sell direct or wholesale, or manage all three, summer is when it all happens at once. Packed markets, weekly CSA boxes, and a harvest that keeps coming. Local Line helps you handle your busiest season with less stress and more control. In 2025, farms and food hubs using Local Line grew their sales by 33%, with average order values up 31%. That's real results across operations of all sizes on the platform. Local Line brings everything together in one platform: CSA management, wholesale ordering, automated inventory, box builder, and POS. Run all your direct channels from the same place, whether that's your CSA, market sales, a farm stop, or a food hub. And through their marketplace partnerships now, you can reach chefs and buyers nationwide through Cisco, Gordon Food Service, and US Foods with a low barrier to entry. Switching is easy too. There are no setup fees, no sales commissions, and their team will migrate your storefront for free even mid-season, and it only takes a few days. As a podcast listener, you'll get one premium feature free for a full year when you use my coupon code MDF2026 at checkout. So head to mydigitalfarmer.com/local line, all one word, and then enter that coupon code MDF2026 at checkout. Make the most of peak season with Local Line. It's streamlined, it's efficient, and it's built for growth. And now back to the show. All right, everyone. Before we get started on today's episode, I just want to make a quick announcement. I'm looking at my calendar here and I'm noticing that the week after this podcast drops is the week that I will be in San Antonio at my son Jed's graduation from boot camp. We'll actually be doing the coin and retreat ceremony on Wednesday morning, and his graduation is the following Thursday. So I have made a decision that I am going to skip the podcast for that week. So next week, when you tune in and try to find an episode, there won't be one. Don't freak out. That was intentional. It's just this time of year, I'm really strapped for time. And so trying to do two podcasts in one week is a lot. And so I've just decided I don't have to do one. It was very freeing when I realized that. I'm like, I own this business. I get to decide. And I'm just not going to do one. So I'm telling my podcast sponsor, they're cool with it. So we're just going to take a little break and I'm going to have a 6-day vacation in San Antonio, Texas. I don't know if you guys know this, but that's actually where I grew up. I was born in Houston. My dad was a Lutheran pastor. My mom was from Germany. Met my dad when she was in her 20s, when she was on a tour with her choir from Germany, and they got married. Anyway, we grew up in Houston. I left when I was 5, and then we lived in San Antonio at my dad's second church. I was there until my sophomore year, and then we moved up to Massachusetts for the last 2 years of my high school. But San Antonio is like my old stomping grounds, and I haven't taken my family there yet. And you don't know how many times I have gone to the Alamo and to SeaWorld and the Riverwalk and the missions. If you guys live down there, you know what I'm talking about. Schlitterbahn, that's another one. So I'm excited to go back and finally take my whole family, and we're going to go see all those places again. It's going to be like the 20th time that I've seen the Alamo, but we're going to do it because you got to see the Alamo when you're in San Antonio. It's not real exciting, but it's going to be a moment. Anyway, so I will not be here next week. Just be aware of that, and I'll miss you, but we'll be back in your earbuds in September. Today, I want to tell you a story that doesn't have anything to do with farming, but it has everything to do with marketing. And as I just reminded you, our oldest son, Jed, he's 18 right now. He's currently in BMT, basic military training for the Air Force at Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio. And as I am recording this, he is just beginning week 4 of his 7.5-week training. He is over the hump now. So this is, in theory, starting to get easier for him. The first 2 weeks are supposed to be the hardest ones. But before he left on August 7th, I had made up my mind that I was going to write him every single day, because I knew it was going to be really tough for him mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. Those first 14 days, I had done my research and I just wanted to be able to support him. In fact, I even tucked 4 handwritten letters into his backpack. I gave them to him at the airport before he boarded the plane. And I told him, listen, open one each day once you get there, because I knew those first few days would probably be the hardest. And I wanted him to have something from home while he waited for the snail mail to catch up. And the very day he left, I started writing letters because I got his address. When he arrived there, he called me. So I got his address and I dropped them in the mailbox. Well, about a week later, we received our first letter from Jed. And the very first sentence said, "Please send your letters through the Sandbox app." At first, I had no idea what he meant. And then I'm like, oh, wait, I think I remember reading about something called Sandbox in one of his handouts or onboarding handouts that we got as parents. And sure enough, I learned that the handwritten letters that I was so faithfully sending were taking anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks to actually arrive. And so during the hardest part of basic training, when I was committed to making sure he got a letter from us every day to see it through, he had not received a single one. I found that out later. He told me that 8 of my letters showed up on one day, the beginning of week 3, and I was just heartbroken. I wasn't there for him. And so when he wrote that, send your letters through the Sandbox app, that's when I decided, okay, I'm gonna go figure that out. And so for those of you who don't know, I mean, I didn't know, it spells Sandboxx. It's an app. It's a service designed for military families, and you can do it on your phone, but I go to the app on my computer. I type a letter inside the app on my computer. I hit send, and I can even enclose a photo, and they will print it. They'll add a photo if I want. they'll include a return envelope with postage in this envelope, and somehow it gets to the base in 2 days. And so here's what's interesting. When I first heard about it, I remember I didn't want to use it because I wanted my letters to be handwritten, like old school. I thought that felt more personal and more meaningful, and I think it was going to maybe be more meaningful to me. But the moment I realized what problem Sandbox was actually solving, and when I heard my son imploring me to use that app instead, they actually tell you in the onboarding documents that you get from the military, they're like, whatever your trainee tells you to do in the letters, do it. So I couldn't sign up fast enough, and I bought the 20 letter package. I've been writing them every day, and I've never looked back. Now, I tell you this story because it illustrates a point I want to talk about today. Let me ask you a question. What was Sandbox actually selling me? Was it selling the envelopes and the postage and the printed letters? Not really. What I was buying was the confidence that my son was going to hear from us when he needed us most, that peace of mind. I was buying reliability and consistency and maybe a little bit of connection. And that's what I want to explore today. Those are all feeling words. And I don't think our customers in the farm world are buying our vegetables or our meat or our flowers for the reasons that maybe we think they do initially. So, as farm business owners, we think we're selling the thing itself, vegetables, chicken, flowers, but maybe we're actually selling something different. And we're spending all this time talking about that thing itself, what we're growing. Hey, we've got tomatoes this week. Fresh lettuce is ready. Beautiful bouquets. Aren't they gorgeous? We've got grass-fed beef. But nobody wakes up in the morning wanting to buy lettuce. They wake up wanting something that lettuce is giving them. And that's the distinction I want to walk around today and really dial into. And I want to help you see the difference. It changes the way that you market. It changes the way you're going to write your emails, what you're going to put on your website, how you're going to take your photographs, your social media, even the way that you sell face to face at the market. So one of my favorite ways to explain this is with a picture, a metaphor. So I want you to imagine your customer standing on one side, on the left side of a huge canyon. There's like a cliff, okay? And on the other side is another cliff, and in between is this big gap, this chasm, okay? On that other side is the life they want, and they're over here on the left side on this cliff. They can't get over there. So maybe they want healthier eating, a healthier life. Maybe they want to have more time with their family around food, or they want to feel really awesome at cooking in the kitchen. Like they want to feel like a chef and creative, or maybe they want to just feel like I'm supporting local. Yeah, it could be a lot of different things. We're going to explore what those are today. But there's this giant gap between where they are and where they want to be. And what I teach my farmers in farm marketing school again and again is that you need to imagine that your product, the thing that you're selling, the vegetables, the flowers, the grass-fed beef, whatever, that is the bridge. So the vegetables aren't the destination. The flowers aren't the destination. The beef isn't the destination. They're simply the bridge that gets people to the other side. And so that's why I'm always telling my students, and I'm reminding you all again today, your product is just the vehicle, and the transformation is what people are actually buying. So let's look over at that cliff on the other side of the gap. What exactly is over there? What are your customers actually purchasing? And I wanted to focus this episode on 5 of the most common benefits, feelings, transformations that I see in the farming space. There are more. I actually had a longer list, but I'm trying to keep these episodes shorter in the summertime. So I've chosen 5 of the most common. And I'm going to go through them here quickly. And I want you to just take this in. This isn't going to be like, oh my gosh, I never thought of that. It's going to be more of a, she's right. I got to stop talking so much about my product. And I need to start talking more about the benefit, the feeling, the transformation. People are not buying the vegetables, they're buying the transformation. So we want to talk more about these 5 things. We want to talk about what's going to happen on the other side of that cliff when they cross the bridge, and how life is going to be different, and how what it's literally going to look like in the 3D world for them. So they can imagine that, so they can mirror their life, they can see themselves living that future story, and now they want the bridge. They want to get there. And so they buy your product. So let's start with number 1. The first thing that I think could possibly be on the other side is health. This one's pretty obvious. People don't really want kale, you guys. They want energy. They want the vitamins, the minerals. They want to reduce inflammation. They want to heal cancer in some cases. They want to lose weight. They want to feel like they can get up off the ground and play with their grandkids, right? They want to feel better. They want to be able to get on their bicycle and walk. They want to be able to go on trips when they're old. They want to have longevity. And they want to feel like they're feeding their kids healthy food and setting them up for life, right? Kale is just the bridge to get them there. Certified organic is just the bridge to get them there. So number 1 is health. I'm not going to go too deep here yet. We'll talk about what this looks like practically at the end of the episode. But so number 1 is health. And I just want you to ask yourself, is that a primary benefit transformation for your customers? Have you talked to them? When you interview them or when you listen to them, is this a thing that gets mentioned more than others? If so, then this is something you should give more time to in your messaging. You should give a lot more words and copywriting to this element. Okay, number 2 is convenience. This one's huge. This was actually kind of what Sandbox was offering me too. It was more convenient to simply type out. It was way faster to write the letters on a computer than handwrite them. And I was more likely to do them every day and just knowing it was going to get there. Let's just talk CSA because I'm in the CSA world. People aren't necessarily, buying a CSA. They're buying fewer decisions. They're buying a refrigerator that's already stocked and someone's deciding what's going to be in it for them. They're buying one less grocery store trip. They're buying dinner meal prep solved. Like I don't have to decide what I'm going to have, right? So sometimes convenience is a huge factor. Is the way that you're packaging and marketing your product really speaking to this value, to this desire, to this benefit? Some of you have customers where this isn't really all that important. I mean, it's nice if you have it, but it's not the main driver. For some of you, it is the driver, and it is why they keep coming back to you because you've built your process, your buying process, your packages in such a way that it's super convenient. And that is the thing that trumps everything. So just ask yourself, is this the most important one? And if so, at the end of the episode, we're going to talk about how you might adjust some of your marketing to speak to this benefit more when you're pitching your product. Number 3, confidence. This is actually the benefit that I talk about for Digital Farmer. I'm not just selling people on a marketing system. Like technically, I'm going to teach people in farm marketing school the fundamentals of marketing and help them build their sales pipeline and the different elements that I'll stitch together to build the sales pipeline on autopilot. But what I really am selling is confidence, because by the time you've worked with me for a year to 18 months and you've been in farm marketing school and you put it all together, like you know what you're talking about now. You feel confident that you see how the system's supposed to work, that it's mostly firing on all cylinders. And so you just carry yourself differently. You sell with more confidence because you know what you're supposed to know, right? So confidence can mean a lot of things in the world. And I want you to think about in the food space, in the farming space, confidence can mean I'm feeding my family well. And just knowing that makes someone feel great. Confidence that they know where their food came from. How many times have we heard that little sentence from our customers' mouths? Confidence that their farmer shares their values, and so they trust you. They know that you're not going to go against your own values, so they can feel safe that their values will therefore be protected too. Confidence in the kitchen because they're learning to cook things that they've never had before. You've taught them how to spatchcock a chicken, or you've taught them how to ferment, or you've exposed them to the wonders of the instant pot. And now there's a whole new category of cuts of meat that are open to them, right? And they feel themselves growing and growing in confidence. Again, ask yourself, is this the main thing? Is this the main benefit that is really driving sales in my business? A lot of these are important, but there's usually a few that are rising to the top. And for some of you, this is the most important one that you decide to circle the wagons around. Number 4, belonging. People love saying things like my farmer, my CSA, our flower farm, my farm. Um, I really see this powerfully in our CSA. I mean, we've been doing this now for 18 years. I can't believe it. That's just crazy. And many of our customers have been with us now for over 10 years. So we really have collected a community of people. They're getting to know each other because of the private Facebook group. They've been encouraging one another, sharing ideas. They see each other at the pickups every week, so that they know each other by name. And they've watched their kids grow up together. Some of their kids are even going to school together. So they're doing stuff together. They're doing food, the life of food together. They're growing together. And so sometimes your product and the way you do your product lends itself to this benefit of belonging, that your customer is joining something bigger than just a food subscription or buying food from you every week. They're joining a community of people, and there's that social proof piece that's happening. They're seeing other people that look like them who are also doing this thing, and that just supports them in wanting to continue to live out that practice. So ask yourself, is your brand, is your business, or maybe there's a particular product line that could really lean into this benefit of belonging, and you could talk about that a whole lot more. Okay, number 5 is family connection. Family connection. And I think this one is powerful too. This is where they're buying like Kodak moments, family moments around food. We all know that food is the thing that brings people together, especially around holidays, holiday meal times, but even just traditions like Sunday suppers with your family or Taco Tuesday or Fish Friday. Like we create memories around food. So we're not just buying carrots, but we're buying fermentation parties with our friends. We're buying kids washing vegetables at the sink. We're buying Saturday morning pancakes with local strawberries. We're buying family dinner around the table, picking strawberries at a U pick, making those memories that you take a picture of and you put in a scrapbook. And then those kids take their kids there 20 years later, right? That's what they really want, is a family connection. And they want your food to be the thing that creates a memory for them that they'll never forget, a positive memory. So that is a good one. I think that's probably hits all of us. Again, the question is that the most important one? Is that the preeminent one out of all of these different benefits and transformations? For some of you, you'll say yes, and that means you want to lean into that story more. Okay, I have one more. Is this number? I feel like I said 5, but I've already done 5. Anyway, I've got another one here. This one is called identity. Um, I've talked about this before. I've given an entire podcast just on this. This is important. People buy products that are reinforcing the kind of person they believe they are or that they want to become. I'm someone who supports local. I'm someone who cares about my health. I'm someone who wants to live until I'm 100, so longevity. I'm raising my kids differently, so I want to feel like a good mom. I'm going to do things so that I can reinforce that idea that I'm a good mom. I'm investing in my community. So your products have the potential to help people become the person they want to be and manifest the values that are important to them. This is a really, really big one. And for some of you, this is going to be the number one. Okay, so there are lots of other benefits that we could go into. Like on my list, I had joy, I had peace of mind, I had stewardship. But I think these five, I feel like I just did six. Whatever, I'm going to say five. But these five are the ones that you see over and over again in the farm space. That's why I wanted to lift them up. I think they're the most common. So let me ask you a question now. If people are buying all of these things, all of these benefits and transformations, why are we spending most of our marketing time talking about, vegetables, chicken cuts? That's kind of, I think, the disconnect I want to point to. Most of us our default setting is to just market products, but I want you to start becoming a farm that markets transformation. So what does that look like practically? You might be asking me, okay, Corinna, I sort of see what you're saying, but now how do I actually do that? Well, there's a few obvious places I think this could work. The first one is your website. So you could change your tagline. You could play around and test different taglines. You could play around with the image that's on the header behind your tagline on your website. So maybe instead of leading with certified organic vegetables, you could have that as like the sub tagline. That's really good SEO. So I'd hate to see you just drop that. But you could lead with the future your customer wants. So maybe it's like make healthy family dinners easier. So now you're helping them see what's going to be the new life for them if they use your product. Or, know your farmer, know your food, or love what's on your plate. I don't love that one, but you see where I'm going. Okay, so it could be the heading on your the main heading on your website. Another place that you would make some adjustments here would be in your product descriptions. So if you have like an online store, you're not just describing the product, you're describing what that product will make possible in their lives. It's not just an 8-ounce bag of fresh basil to make pesto. It's tonight your kitchen is going to smell incredible, right? You're gonna make enough pesto to be able to enjoy this in the wintertime. You're gonna freeze a bunch of pesto. Instead of saying tomatoes, you can say it's finally BLT season, and now they're imagining that crispy bread with the bacon and the tomato juices just running down their chin. Okay. So product descriptions, be brainstorming how you could point to the transformation in an element of the product description. Ask ChatGPT to help you with this too. I mean, you could say, write me a product description for basil, and it'll give you its first shot. Then you can coach it and say, well, now I'd like you to add an element here that really gets at the product transformation of this product and how it's helping our customer, blah, 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 XYZ. And then it can give you an adjustment. All right, the third area where you might do this is in your emails. I'm a big email copywriting girl. Instead of sitting down to write an email and looking at it as like an inventory report, like here's what we got this week for sale. Hope to see you at the market. You're saying something more like everything you need for homemade salsa just arrived in the online store. Or this week's box could cover 3 family dinners. And then you give some examples of the kinds of dinners it could cover. Okay. So use your emails to tell stories or to put a picture of the transformation, an actual visual in the email, and point to it and say, this is what you could be making this week. This is what you could become. I love to do that. I love to take pictures from my customers that they give me of stuff that they're making and use it as inspiration. But part of what's going on there too is that the person seeing that is imagining I might be able to become like Brian Hammer someday and cook a meal like that. Or maybe one day Corinna will share my photo in this email if I stick long enough with her. Today's podcast is sponsored by Farm Marketing School, my monthly membership for farmers. Before we dive back into the episode, I want to speak to a very specific kind of farmer for a second. If you're a year or two into your business and things are working, but your marketing still feels kind of scattered, like you're posting, you're sending some emails, you're running promotions, but it all feels disconnected and you're not sure what's actually driving sales. I just want to say that's not a lack of effort. That's just a lack of structure. Because most farmers don't need more ideas. What they need is a system that connects everything together. And that's exactly why I built Farm Marketing School. Inside, I teach you how to actually design your marketing so that it works like a machine, a system, not a bunch of random tactics. We map out your full customer journey. We build your email engine. We create intentional promotions and product pathways. So your marketing starts handing off from one piece to the next like a relay race instead of you running every leg yourself. And we do it through 30-day project builds. So you're not just learning about marketing, you're actually finishing things. You're actually building the marketing assets in your marketing machine, your sales funnel, your promotions, your lead magnet, your weekly email rhythm, all your marketing assets. And that's when the shift happens. Marketing starts to feel lighter. The flywheel starts to spin. Sales start to feel more predictable. And you finally feel like, okay, I'm on the right track. I know what I'm doing. If that's what you've been longing for and what you've been missing, then I want to invite you to join Farm Marketing School just for a month. Come inside and see what it's all about. You can learn more at mydigitalfarmer.com/FMS. And now back to the show. All right, social media is the next place where you could be practicing this. Again, don't just photograph your vegetables, but photograph the life that those vegetables are creating. If you can get pictures of kids helping to cook, or friends gathering around a table or having a cookout, or someone actually making soup or canning the tomatoes, or even a picture of your customers picking up the produce at pickup, you're selling the whole experience, not just the produce itself. So help them to see the life that they'll actually experience once they have your product. I like to tell my farmers, I use this example a lot. Imagine that you could follow your customer around with a video camera for a whole week and just film them like a reality show and just see where's your product showing up in their life. And if you could somehow capture those moments on film and show them to your customers and talk about them either visually or through your words in the copywriting, that is gold. That is just copywriting gold. All right, the next one is just headlines in general. I know we talked about our homepage website, but you've also got things like brochures or your booth sign or your different landing pages on your website. Are those headlines talking about the product or are they pointing to the transformation? Just ask yourself that question. The next one is testimonials. Look for testimonials from your customers that tell stories. So not just, oh, the carrots were delicious, but my kids asked for seconds, or my husband told me this was one of the best meals I've ever made for him, or joining your CSA has helped us eat dinner together again more often, or we're eating out less because we joined the CSA. Those are picture stories that future customers read that in the testimonials and they're like, yes, that's what I want. That right there. Okay, someone's getting that. That's what I'm going to buy. I'm going to buy right now because it looks like this is happening. Okay. Not every testimonial is the same. So I always tell people try to acquire social proof, try to get Google reviews and testimonials, but try to coach them in such a way that you get these kinds of testimonials. You want to hear the stories about your food and how it's changing their lives. Another place that you can use this is your offers. I always talk about how there's a difference between the product itself and the offer. The product is just the thing you're selling. The offer is how you're spinning the thing. How are you pitching it? Are you bundling it? Are you naming it a certain way? Are you offering it for a brief time with a bonus? Is it at a special price for just a few days? Is it only available for a limited time? Like all of those extra pieces that you add to the product are what make it irresistible and make people want to say, oh, I want to get that now. That's called an offer. Okay. So when we're pitching our offers, we're using this same uh, lesson and principle from today where we're talking about the benefits, we're talking about the emotions and the transformation. So instead of just saying I'm selling a soup bundle, we're talking about 3 easy weeknight dinners, or instead of just saying canning tomatoes, everything you need for canning weekend. Oh, now I'm like picturing the whole experience, how it's going to take a weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun with my friends. Okay. Do you see the slight change? You want to help them see the story, see themselves in a future story using your product, like in a mirror, like they're looking in a mirror or looking ahead in a time machine. And they can see the future version of them and exactly what they're doing, like a movie. All right. Before I wrap up, I want to make just one more observation. I've hinted at it a few times, but I want to make sure I say it. I realize that most customers probably aren't buying for just one reason, and I want to make sure I say that out loud because I have a feeling you're going to be asking me that. It's usually a combination of reasons. Maybe they care about health, but they also love the convenience. Maybe they want to support local, but they also really love the sense of community that they get. Um, Maybe they started because they wanted organic vegetables, but they ended up staying because they fell in love with the pickup day and the community and this identity that they felt themselves forming. Okay, so there can be several motivations that are working together. I want to make sure I say that, but here's what I think is important. Not all motivations are going to carry the same weight for your customer, and that's where you got to do a little bit of research. There's usually one, maybe two that are rising to the top that are preeminent. So think back to my sandbox story and the letters. Sure, I liked the idea of having beautifully handwritten letters arriving in Jed's mailbox that were personal and that mattered. But when I realized that those letters were getting there when he needed them most and he was feeling pain and feeling like he had been abandoned or we weren't thinking about him, that just killed me. Something else became more important. It was all about reliability. It was about speed, how fast it was going to get there, and the peace of mind that they guaranteed it would get there within 48 hours, if not 24 hours. And suddenly those motivations outweighed everything else. And that is what convinced me to buy and to switch my behavior. So, as marketers, this is the work that you and I are trying to do. We're trying to figure out what matters most to my customer. What is the dominant reason that they choose us? What's the emotional payoff that they're really after? When you know that, it's a lot easier to do the marketing and actually, I don't know, just gets simpler. You're not just trying to hit a bunch of different targets. You're really focused on the same message and you're beating that drum a lot more often. You stop guessing and you stop writing what you think is important, but you start speaking directly to what they think is important, to what they already value. And this is why I'm such a huge believer in customer research. You cannot figure this out by sitting at your kitchen table and guessing. I hate to tell you that. You cannot just say, well, I think I know. You have to ask. You have to ask. And I got to tell you, like, my farmers are in farm marketing school even are resistant to this. I can tell. I'll keep beating this drum and saying, no, really, you need to do this, the project of farm marketing in farm marketing school and the customer research boot camp. Like when you do that, it's going to open up so much for you. But it just feels like, I don't want to do that, or that just seems like pointless, or I think I already know, or I don't want to call 10 people. But you have to interview customers. And you have to listen carefully to the words that they use when they're answering the questions that I give you in that project. Sometimes they're going to tell you something that completely surprises you. All right. So this is why I created Customer Research Bootcamp. It was actually the very first class I ever made because I personally thought it was the most important thing. It's a 30-day project where I walk you through interviewing your customers, organizing what you learned from them, and kind of uncovering the themes, the language, the motivations, the buying triggers that you see as you analyze the results. And you can use that in your marketing. It is some of the most valuable work that you will ever do because when you truly understand the why behind people buying from you, everything else, your website, your emails, your social media, your offers, they get really easy to write because you're just taking the words right from the mouths of your customers. And then you have consistency in all the marketing channels and you just draw the people in like a magnet. So here's what I want you to do this week. I want you to pick just one product that you sell. I know you sell a lot of things. Just pick one. This will be a practice, an exercise. And then I want you to ask yourself 3 questions. What transformation does this product create? If that product is a bridge to the other side, to the other side of the cliff, what's over there on the other side of the cliff? What does that world look like? What does the customer become? That's the second question. Over there on the other side of the cliff in their promised land. What's waiting for them on the other side of the bridge? Okay. What transformation does it create? Who does this customer become? And what is waiting for them on the other side of the bridge? Then I want you to go and rewrite either your product description, your email for the week, or a social media post. And don't talk about the product as much. Talk about the transformation just to practice this. Okay. Now, there is an old marketing quote that says, people don't buy a 1/4-inch drill bit because they want a 1/4-inch drill bit. They buy it because they want a 1/4-inch hole. Farmers, you need to remember that lesson. People are not buying your vegetables, your meat, your flowers because they want vegetables, meat, or flowers. They're buying your stuff because they want to become healthier. They want to become more connected. They want to become more confident, less stressed, more joyful. Your vegetables, your flowers, your meat, they are simply the bridge that helps them get there. And so once you start marketing the destination instead of the bridge, I think you'll find that your products become a whole lot easier to sell. All right, that's all I got. Thank you so much for listening today. If this episode challenged the way that you're thinking about marketing, I'd love it if you would share it with another farmer who needs to hear this message. You can grab the link and text it to a friend, or you can go leave me a rating or a review wherever you listen to this podcast. You can find the show notes for today's episode at mydigitalfarmer.com/375. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Remember, next week will not be here. I'm going to take my vacation week and watch my son graduate from boot camp. Pray for me. I'm so excited. I'm so proud of him. And I'll catch you back the next week here on the show. Thanks for joining me today. Have an amazing week. And remember, I believe in you. Bye-bye.